Hey everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, this is going to be a slightly different video today. We're on our way to
see our baby.
Yes. We're going to be able to see a sonogram today of our baby number 4. We don't know if it's a boy or girl. We always wait. And we thought that this would be a good time to do a little Q&A of some of the videos that we did, mainly the converting the shed. So Kelly is being our chauffeur, and we're running a little late. So of course, I love my bride, and she drives
fast.
She does drive fast.
Speed limit, totally legally.
Yes, but she goes probably 40 around turns.
So buckle up.
So I'm sorry. I'll try to see if I can do a little stabilization if this is too much. I don't want to make anybody sick. Is this a school zone?
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna do rapid fire. This is in no particular order, but if you have had questions about our how to convert or converting a Derksen shed into a tiny house, this is it. Okay, first question. That last shed was not a tiny house, yada yada yada. Yes,
that's what we've heard.
Yes.
Some feedback has been, this is not a tiny house. No one's calling it a tiny house.
Yes, if I wouldn't have put tiny house in the description and into the title, it would have not been able to reach a wider group of people. So,
but guess how we found out about shed to house conversions? When we were searching tiny houses.
Exactly. Don't get so anal about this is a 640 to 800 square foot tiny house. Yes, I completely understand, but you can do the exact same thing, and if I didn't do that, you wouldn't have seen it, but you can still get a 300 square foot shed and convert it, and you don't have to have your house on wheels. So that's the whole thing. Now, also to add to that, we're gonna have 6 people living in 800 square feet. So it's gonna get tiny. We're gonna have 4 kids. They're gonna be from 6 or 7 all the way down to a newborn. Anyway, so that's the whole thing about tiny house.
I could take turns like that guy.
Yes, and it would be better for video.
Brings traffic to a stop.
Hey, how much is the last shed? In the comments at the beginning of whenever we first posted the video a couple of months ago, I thought that it was less. It was not. So I believe what Enterprise Center in Giddings, Texas, and just to knock off another one where they say like, where is this place? It is Enterprise Center in Giddings, Texas. So if you live in Texas, I highly recommend that you go and check them out. It's a really big place. They actually market it. Yeah, they market it as the largest lot in Texas, or maybe the largest lot up for Derksen Portable Buildings. It's great. What was the question? So I believe the latest that we've heard is that the full finished out one is 80 grand. So that's a lot.
The one that we toured.
The one that, yeah, I mean, we toured a lot, but it was the one that everybody wanted to see. It's the one that allowed you to see, oh, wow, we could actually, yes, that you living in a shed, like Kelly says, doesn't have to be like living in a shed. You could actually have a house. So 80 grand, it's a lot. That is, for that one, that was a 640 square foot, so that was $125, $125 per square foot.
This is factoring in the total cost with labor and everything, which is why, as we've talked through these videos, I think we could do a lot of the labor ourselves, a lot of the shopping ourselves. You can go to a Habitat Restore and get really great cabinets, especially for a tiny house, because you don't have to have a huge amount that match like you would in a typical home. So there's a lot that we can do on our own, and then gain a few skills that we'd really like to pass on to our kids that we haven't yet learned. And I think that using a tiny house in this way, where things that I'm not skilled in or confident in trying, like electricity and plumbing, can be done by someone who knows how.
They contract out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they have staff members, but they have, like legit home builder, like contract people that do it. So yeah, so 80 grand is a lot. So that kind of leads us to, someone said, so how are y'all planning on finishing it out? So we try to say it a little bit in the video, and that's what we're going to explain now. Our plan at the present, while we are, what, 6 months pregnant?
Almost. We're 21 weeks.
Yeah. So of course, come April, May, when this baby is born, we have no idea. But the current plan that we have is that we will purchase a 16 by 50 shed, the barn style, the one with the barn style roof. That will be 800 square feet. We will not have the porch, because actually if you ask for the porch, it's more expensive. So we're not gonna have the porch on it. And then what we're gonna have them do is do all of the plumbing and electrical, and do the spray foam, because spray foam, I've read that, it's just the best insulation, and then also it kind of stabilizes the house a little bit, because yeah, this is not a timber frame home, but so anything to help strengthen it, we want. Then that's a no-brainer. That's a non-negotiable thing. We're doing all that. It's up in the air of whether we're gonna have them also do drywall. If we have them do drywall, then we can move in. We'll probably, I don't know. Either we might, whether we have them install like a shower or a toilet, we might do that too. It just.
We could do that part.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As long as the plumbing's there.
And it just depends. This all depends on, like, let's say we put our house in suburbia up for sale, and it sells for the full asking price right away, like way too soon than we thought. Then we're kind of up a creek, and we got a place, we need to go somewhere. So
live out of a storage.
Yeah. So if that happens, we might just have to say, hey, y'all go ahead and put in some of the bathroom, so that we have running water. So anyway, that's what we're planning on doing. And then we are going to we're gonna learn some skills. We're gonna disprove the myth of an old dog can't learn new tricks, and I am definitely the old dog of trying to learn how to install cabinets and do flooring and do trim work, all of that stuff, insulation. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna share everything with y'all, so that if you're saying that you can't build something like this, that you can. Why are you living in a small, tiny house with 3+ kids? And also, like, you better rethink this, because just wait till your kids are teenagers.
Yeah.
So I'll let my wife tell her that.
Thanks for letting me take this one over. The fun one, right? So here's the way I look at it. Yes, this part is true, but it's not the whole truth. It's just incomplete. We are going to be living in a 900 square foot home with 4 kids. But more than that, we're going to live on 7.5 acres with 4 kids. That's huge. Currently, right now, we're on 1/4 of an acre. And
not even that, an eighth.
Oh yeah, like 1/8 of an acre. And when we want to go outside, in our area, we have mosquitoes all year long. We are surrounded by neighbors, and we have high trees and everything, and things that we just can't control. So even just enjoying our little 1/8 of an acre is really difficult for us. To think about living in a house that's 2,100 square feet like ours is now, moving to 7.5 acres is freedom. And then the second part is probably that it's temporary. The plan to live in this tiny little house is probably only a 2-year plan, because our kids will be big enough where they're gonna want their own rooms and they're gonna want privacy, and they're not gonna wanna sleep on a mattress in a loft anymore. And we're sensitive to that. However, the grand scheme of things, we will move out of our suburb home onto 7.5 acres, and absolutely everything in terms of mortgage and monthly payments, aside from utilities, is done. We will live completely debt-free. Right now, we are debt-free except for the home, and then we're gonna knock the home off of that list. Imagine what you would do with the extra money that your house note takes up every single month. Can you think about that? Like, to me, that is tangible freedom. We are free to give, we are free to do, we are free to build more cool little things. Like, we have a lot of plans for our property, but we can't do that with a debt load every single month. This is financial freedom for us that was not an option in the suburbs. So to move out of our little house here in the suburbs to our property, we will live completely debt-free, not just Dave Ramsey debt-free except for the house, totally, completely debt-free, and we will still have cash to do more projects. We'll still have our income. We will still work, but this tiny house affords us that next step. So we may build barn dominiums in the years to come, and you guys will see that, and everybody will have their own room, and it could be a 5,000 square foot barn dominium if we want it to be. But the big change for us won't be the size and house, it will be the freedom that that house affords us, and the principles, I think, that are required to live in a smaller space with more people. Consideration, picking up after yourself, doing the dishes, being a part of a household that functions because everybody does their part. As a mom, that's something really important to me.
We're gonna go look at our baby. We'll come right back.
Yay! Oh, look at that belly. You just want to cry. Pregnant women should not look at sonograms. That little heart. Oh, those toes. Babe, those are sweet.
Who has long toes?
No wonder they like to be held so much. I mean, look, oh.
Look at that yawn. Oh.
You're tired. I get it, kid. Me too.
Okay, they let us film in there. That's really cool. So you got to see a little bit. Hopefully,
A little nugget.
yes. Hopefully not too much of Kelly's belly. I love the belly.
Well, the world does not need to see the belly.
So now let's go ahead and wrap this up. You legally need to have a separate room for a girl.
What? How did I miss that comment? This is why I don't reply to the comments, because I do not have the tact to respond to people like that.
Now, I am not a lawyer. I do not know law. I do not know Texas law or anything. That just surprises me that we would legally have to have a separate space.
That is
for
legally
our
ridiculous.
Daughter.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. What's the make and model? I'm assuming that it's the last one, and even in that video, they're all Derksen. They are all Derksen Portable Buildings. D-E-R-K-S-E-N. Derksen. Now, there are differences in terms of a barn-style roof. The barn-style roofs are able to have a loft. There's just regular pitch roof. I forgot what that's called.
Not A-frame.
No, I can't remember what it's called. Those, you cannot have a loft. Now, those ones are able to have like that little open thing.
Like a transept window.
We love that, and we wish that we could have that in the barn style roof, and we don't necessarily love the look, the exterior look. But what, Kelly just said is, has said before, is we have to have it. We can't do this without the lofts. So barn style roofs, that's it. This is my favorite one and the biggest one.
more favorite than you legally.
You are crazy for wanting to update that beautiful shed.
Your wife is out of her
Well, let's keep it clean for the kids.
Which could be true. I'm not insulted by that, but the reality is you're way off base. That was a model. We were never purchasing that home in the first place.
Yeah, so like I said earlier in this video, we're going to be buying a shed. We cannot buy that model. Now, actually, at the time that we made the video, that model was spoken for someone. So whenever we went, that was a sold home. Recently, I don't know what happened. Now you can buy it. But we were commenting on how we are going to take the shell, like I'm going to show you here, to a livable home. We are allowed to do what we want to do in the home to design it the way that we want, because we're the ones that are going to be living there.
So we may be outside of our effing minds, but not about this model.
Yes.
There are a lot of other reasons.
So yes, where is the dealership? I think I've mentioned that before. It's in Giddings, Texas. Giddings, Texas. We've had some people say about like can you convert a Home Depot shed into a living space, and that I'm just a terrible person. Sorry, you know, just the name of the game of this is to be mortgage free. So Kelly said that earlier, is just mortgage free. So please watch some of our other videos, and I hope that you see that we're really good people, and that we just want to share what we're doing. We believe that the borrower is slave to the lender, and that's a mortgage also. So we want to be mortgage free. We don't want to have to borrow money on this, and there you go.
But this is not for everyone. So if you found us, it's because you're looking for something different. Like our tagline is, we're a family swimming upstream and challenging the status quo. There's nothing wrong with the status quo, but some of you are like us and you want to challenge and you want to swim upstream, and you're naturally inclined to do something different than what you see happening around you. That's what this is about. We are doing something different. We've been led to this place. We're following the path that's set before us, and in some ways trailblazing. So this will not be for everyone. Don't take this as word of God and go shove it down your in-laws' face and say, see, everyone needs to live debt-free. I think you can live debt-free in the suburbs. You can live debt-free other places. But for us, this puts all of our favorite things together. Challenging what we know we're capable of in our suburb home, giving our kids an opportunity to discover in these really tender years some things out in the wilderness and their skill level that they would never get to challenge living in the home that we live in right now. The taxes alone, the mortgage, all of these things we're able to simplify and eliminate just by making this move. So this is not for everyone. And yes, we may be outside of our minds in doing this, but it is an invitation to other people who are doing the same thing we're doing. We want to hear from you. Other people who want to do what we're doing and just have questions about it. This may become a how not to guide more than it is a how to do things. But we're excited to share that with you, and we're thankful for every comment, even the ones that seem kind of nasty. We're just okay with that. Like, we're okay and comfortable doing what we're doing because 4 years ago, 2 years ago, we never would have dreamed this up. So it's an exciting adventure to be on.
So here's another one that I can tag team from what Kelly just said. I want to do this. How do I convince my spouse to do this? You don't. You do not try to convince your spouse. Hopefully you have a good marriage and you'll have good communication, and that y'all have freedom to dream together, and that you can come up with compromise and you can just talk about this. I mean, Kelly and I have been talking about, land and homesteading for, 3 years. Wrestling, yes. And
if we had not come up with compromises, this could be something that divides a marriage, which is the opposite of what we want for anyone, for ourselves or for you. If you are trying to convince your spouse and they're hell-bent against it, you don't do that. You find compromises at your own space. You grow your gardens, maybe you get some chickens or some rabbits in your backyard, some little homestead things that allow you to satisfy that homestead itch. But if you're meant to do this, I firmly believe that God will open your eyes to the possibilities in the right language. Like for me, the mortgage-free thing was way more exciting than living in a shed. It was not like, oh look, we could live in a tiny house in a shed with 6 people. But if Bo had his way, the original plan for him was that we would already be living out on the land right now, and we would have sold our house last summer. Then I would be pregnant out there.
In a trailer.
Ugh. Yeah, he wanted to live like in an RV with all of our little people while we build this place. Then when we got down to bare numbers and just really thinking through, does this make sense? It didn't. But I couldn't just say no flat out, because what he was doing, reading between the lines, is he was dreaming of something far different from our lifestyle right now. And to turn a ship like that, it takes time. And it takes, I mean, in real life, it takes the right wind conditions. It takes the right people in the right places to make that happen. So when we finally made this step to say yes to buying the property, that was very clear to us that we were supposed to buy the property. And then Bo wanted to run full steam ahead. And in my sort of personality, I had to say, hey, I'm on board with you on this. I am not only supportive of your dream, but this is my dream as well. These are some healthy boundaries that we can set now so that you never feel like you're in this alone, and I never feel like I'm getting steamrolled. So come up with that third way, come up with those healthy boundaries when you start to move in this direction, and have safe places. You have to have safe places to talk to each other. And sometimes it is literally me saying, hey babe, can I have a safe place? And he knows that that phrase means I may have something hard or difficult for him to hear, but I love him and he knows that I love him, and I'm not trying to take away things that are important to him. I'm trying to express a concern. So find those ways to communicate well, because we have seen some people who try and go this, we're not going off-grid, but go an off-grid route or totally flip-flop their lives, and it destroys their marriage, and that's not what we want for you, and not what we want for us.
I'd rather have my wife than 7 acres or a shed or anything else.
Smart man.
Okay, we're almost done. I don't want to have to do another one of these videos for a while, so I'm gonna finish it all. This might be longer. Building codes, great question. That is a failure on my part. I briefly called about building codes, and I thought that they said that we're good with building codes. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, I don't know. And we'll just cross that bridge whenever we come to it, which is pretty soon. I need to find out more information about that now. I do know that we are on unrestricted land, so that's good. We're outside of the city of that we live in, so all we have to worry about, I believe, is just the county codes, but I'll update you more about that. Why are you going with the shed conversion instead of a tiny house on wheels, instead of living in a trailer, or building a conventional home? I'll go ahead and do the conventional home first. The reason why is because we don't necessarily know what we're going to do in the future. This is an experiment, and that was one of the things that I think we were able to compromise on, was that we're not going to retire. We don't know if we are going to retire in this on this land.
We are not going to retire in this little house.
We are definitely not retiring in this little house. We don't know what anything is. We think that we're going to do this for probably 2 or 3 years in this little house, depending on finances. We are definitely going to be building smaller structures for guests and for family to come, or for teenagers to grow up. If we were to do the very first thing that we do on the property is to build a conventional home or a barn dominium, we immediately are back in debt in terms of mortgage, because we would have to take out a mortgage, which is not terrible. I would say the best kind of debt, but it's still weird. But we would have to borrow money, and we would never get, if we don't stay on this property, we would never get our money out of it. We would never get the full, like, let's say we would spend $100,000 on a barn dominium. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, we would not get, it's very likely we would not get that full $100,000 out of it within the next 5 years. That's hard for me to think that if we were to do this, that we don't, and then if we need to sell, that we can't sell it for more or for what we paid for. Now, of course, with these sheds, I'm not saying that whatever we spend on it, I'm not saying that we're going to get the full value out of it. I don't know if this is like a car. I doubt that they do go up in value. I don't think that they do, like a normal house. So that's one thing to consider, but still, it's not that. So whenever you purchase, and this is something that we learned about after we purchased our property, really, if money was less of an object whenever we bought our raw land, we should have bought a property that already had a house and that already had outbuildings like barns and other sheds on it, because that's whenever you can get those things for a deal. Because if you were to buy them new, you're definitely paying more for them. So you get them at a huge discount if you buy things used. So that's what we were thinking, is because this is an experiment for 2 to 3 years, we want to stay as mobile as we can. So even like, we're not going to build a chicken coop. Everything that we're going to be doing with animals, and probably not the garden part of it, is going to be portable. We're going to do fruit trees, of course, but that raises the value of the land. Any kind of structures on it, we wanted it to be somewhat mobile. So if we needed to actually ever move this house, let's say we were selling the land and they wanted to pay us a lot for the land, but they didn't want to pay us like but $10,000 for the shed house, we could move it to somewhere. If we bought,
take it with us. Yeah,
if we bought, a bigger piece of property, we could move it if we wanted to, or we could sell it on Craigslist or something. Someone would want it, and it's going to be a nice house. Tiny house on wheels. I think it's great. Maybe. I really don't like it anymore.
I think like my note on tiny house is tiny house blew up. Like tiny house got shows on DIY Network and FYI, like everywhere you go there's tiny house. But with that, it also grew in cost. So people who are moving into tiny house, even though it's 100 square feet, sometimes are spending $100 per square foot.
Oh, and way more than that.
It's outrageous to do that, like when
closer to 200.
In our suburb home, we spend our rate is probably something like $90 a square foot. Yeah. In our suburb home that has so many more amenities. So I don't know that someone will really get, every time I purchase something, anything, I also think about the resale value of it. And I don't know that anyone is going to get a healthy resale value out of a used tiny home. So although it's customized and wonderful and exciting, it would have to be a different time in our life for a tiny house on wheels to really fit our lifestyle.
Tiny houses on wheels are super cool. They have a super cool factor to them. Those are meant to be moved once, maybe twice a year. If you move them more often, they're gonna start breaking apart. That's the point of it. We're not doing that. We're gonna have 4 kids, already own our land that we know that we want to develop. So we're paying more for a smaller house, and we're on a trailer. So it just doesn't, it doesn't really
doesn't
make
function for us.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Barnuminium, probably we'll do a barnuminium at some point, and we will show you how we do the barnuminium.
Yeah, so keep watching these videos and we'll be able to do a barndominium one day.
Yeah. If any of this is helpful, please give it a thumbs up. As Kelly is on her phone, she's probably posting to our Facebook page.
I'm looking at a picture of hound puppies that were just born and I'm thinking, can we get one?
Can we get a puppy? Share us what kind of puppy we need on our land.
Yeah.
Go ahead and subscribe. We have something, again, I'm keep on hinting this, we're gonna have something big coming up. We're really excited about it. You're gonna be really excited to be here with us on this channel. So subscribe. So we'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.
Bye.